Hey there everyone, it's Maria Young here, and I thank you guys so much for hanging out with me right here at my Orchid Adventures. So there have been many of you guys that have asked about my Maxillaria Tenuifolia, and some of you guys have even asked if I could do a repot on it. So today I'm going to fulfill your request, but not only am I going to show you how to repot it, but we're also going to be doing a propagation on it and also a rescue on it. Now, I've been growing orchids for about 20 years, but of course it's been on and off. Now, since the time that I've been very consistent and have become such a full-blown orchid addict, has been about 5 consistent years. And my Maxillaria Tenuifolia was one of my oldest orchids. I mean, it's been with me throughout my entire adventure. So yes, it is very sentimental to me. But not only that, the way I started my adventure with my Maxillaria Tenuifolia actually started out where I purchased the orchid very severely damaged, very severely malnutritioned, and also on the verge of actually dying. The bulbs were paper thin, and to be honest with you, I actually did not believe that it would survive. So initially when I got it, I did a rescue, I also did a propagation, and I also did a repot as well. So it's an irony that we're back about 5 years later and we're doing it yet again. But this is an effort to save my beloved Maxillaria. But not only did it survive the conditions it was in when I first got it, but it actually survived all of the winters here in Florida because I did keep it outside. And every year it bounced back, every year it recovered, and every year it bloomed until the year before now. Because this year is actually the first year that it did not bloom at all. And the year before, it actually suffered extreme frostbite in which it never did fully recoup or recover. And it was always dwindling. I mean, one bulb at a time, it would die back, it would rot out. Half of the plant has died away. So indeed, it's something that we really need to do. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you exactly what we're going to be using for our rescue, propagation, and also our repotting. And the materials that we will be using today is this moistened sphagnum moss. Also, we have this concoction right here, which appears to be a mixture of lava rock, also some coal, and some leca beads. Now, this concoction is actually coming from Todd's Tropical because he sent it to me to give it a try. So definitely thank you, Todd. I do appreciate it, and we are going to give it a try on my Maxillaria Tenuifolia. And indeed, we want a little bit of a drier mix along with this moistened sphagnum moss. We don't want it too moist because this is going to be a rescue mission. Now, what we also have is this pair of scissors that is currently sanitizing in a solution of this Physan 20, which is an algicide, fungicide, bactericide, and also a viruscide. And then right here we have a pair of scissors. Say what? That is the most awkward pair of scissors I've ever seen. Actually, this is my pair of gloves that I'll be using to protect my hands. And also we have the bird cage with this adorable little bird that comes along with it. This will be our container that we will be holding our actual Maxillaria in. And as you can see, I just use this liner right here made of coconut husk. So those are the materials that we will be using today. And this right here is the sad case of my beloved Maxillaria. Now, if you followed that adventure, you guys know that this actual pot was totally filled up with the Maxillaria Tenuifolia, and it was just growing so lush and so beautiful. I've lost more than half of the plant right here, and as you can see, these pseudobulbs are slowly dying and rotting away, and eventually it'll just lead to the healthier parts here. So we definitely want to put a stop to it. Okay, so here we are. We're just going to go ahead and take this completely out of its container. And you guys know this has been growing in here forever, so it's totally filled up this container right here. And the original mix we had was sphagnum moss and also majority bark. And you're really seeing that, but you're seeing a big part of its roots. So yeah, it was growing so healthy throughout this media. And we're gonna go ahead and just get it out of here, and then we're gonna go ahead and clean up the roots so we can take a better look. But all I'm doing is pulling away and massaging all of the nasty media out. So here it is, guys, cleaned up and as good as we're gonna get it right here. And as you can take a look, roots are pretty darn healthy and looking really good for as awful as it looks. But the good news, folks, look at all these beautiful bulbs. There still seems to be a lot of life left in this orchid. So now that she's gotten a good hose down, we're gonna go ahead and disinfect her with the Physan 20 solution, and we're just gonna spray her down from her roots to her bulbs and stems, and even down to her leaves. She's gonna get this Physan cleanup like she's never had it before. And this is really just good added protection for her before we begin cutting and tearing away the rotted pseudobulbs and cutting away the rotted roots. And now that we've gotten that out of the way, I'm gonna look through here and try to see if there's a way where I can actually just divide the main portion of rotting pseudobulbs. And that would be it right there, and there's also one right here. So we're just gonna go ahead and tear that away, and then we're gonna go through and inspect the rest of the bulbs and see which ones really need to be cut away and also which ones we can salvage. And actually looking through here, you are seeing that they have their natural division points where they're somewhat flimsy. So it's going to make it easy for us to just simply pull and divide them. So that's what we're gonna go ahead and do now. Right there, look, that easy. And then we can inspect them even further. There you go. There you go. And yeah. Pretty easy. So now we can really look into here and see which ones we can save. Okay, so I've gone over and I've inspected these thoroughly and completely and very, very closely, and I've decided and came down to the conclusion of which ones are more savable and salvageable and which ones are actually suspect, which ones actually look as though something may be going on a lot further than what we can actually see. So this group right here of these divisions, I have noticed that the pseudobulbs are far more plumper, definitely looks so much more healthier, and we're also getting a good amount of new growths. As you can see right here, and also as we go up, you'll see them also growing. And this is really throughout all of these bulbs. So they are growing according to their growth habit. And we're also seeing new growths that are actually emerging from the very base of the plant as well. I've inspected every bulb and we're not seeing any type of rotting on any one of these. And although we may notice some wrinkling in the lower bulbs, we have to keep in mind that the lower bulbs are actually the oldest pseudobulbs. So that is quite common in a lot of your orchids, where the oldest bulbs will show some sign of shriveling, but it definitely does not send out any red flags to me. So with this group right here, it's basically propagation through division, and we're not going to separate any more of the bulbs, definitely not going to separate them individually. We're going to keep them together as is, and definitely believe that there's really no need to separate them out any further. Now these divisions right here, I do have to admit I am a bit more worried about. Now, as you can see with this one right here, it does show one sign of new growth, but looking throughout, there's not another one, not a single one. And opposed to the other group where each segment had about 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 more growths. So yeah, that's a far cry than what this is showing right here. And this actually does not have one single new growth at all from the base nor at the sides of each pseudobulb. And as we do look at the very base of the actual plant, this would be the oldest bulb, you are seeing that rotting right there. So that's where the rotting or the sickness or the decaying is actually starting, and I think it's actually going upwards. And as you can see, same thing on this one. The very bottom one has that rotting. And as we go forward, all of the bulbs actually look very sickly, very wrinkled, and half the size of what the other group has in the context of the actual bulbs being as plump. And you're seeing that here as well. Look at that. Severe desiccation right there. So something is definitely going on with these. So I would not trust it. This will definitely not be going with the group that I believe is salvageable. But even as awful of the condition as it is in right now, we are still going to attempt to try to save as much of this as possible. Of course, we will have to individually cut the actual stem portions and see which ones we can save. But folks, I tell you, when I first got this, it was far worse than what you see right here. As I stated, the bulbs were almost paper thin, and I was most certain that they were hanging on by a thread and certain demise was knocking at their front door. But yet and still, they bounced back, they recouped, and then they thrived and flourished. I mean, it is just absolutely unbelievable what these can do. So we're still going to give these a chance. Okay, so we're going to be using the sanitized scissor right here to cut out the dead and rotting bulbs. And being that this bulb right here is a key indicator that there is some sort of infection going on, we don't want it to spread, so we're actually going to cut above and as furthest away as we can from that bulb. And we're going to do the same exact thing. We're actually going to remove these two bulbs right here with our sanitized scissor, and we're going to cut as furthest away as we can from those bulbs right there. And now all we're simply going to do is tear away, and it's so simple, just a mere snap right there. And those are going to be the propagated divisions. And right here as well, right there, and right there. Now, as I told you, you can individually propagate them as well. And you know what? As I'm looking closer, I will have to individually separate some of these bulbs, because look at that. You see that bottom portion of this? It's turning brown right there. So the rotting has already started to spread. So yeah, we're going to individually cut the bulbs out just to be safe, so we can inspect and make sure we have the ones we want to try to save. And here's yet another key indicator too as well. If we could look right there, the new growth is actually already rotted out. You see that right there? Yeah, infection has already set in right here. So we're going to go ahead and take our sanitized pair of scissors again, and we're going to go ahead and begin to cut away each individual stem. Inspect each one too as well, just to make sure that there isn't any rotting going on in each of these segments. Right there, right there. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and inspect each one now. And as I cut closer up, there it is. You see that infection right there, that browned area? Yep. So this one is a goner. We're not even attempting it. And since we know there's definitely something going on with these bulbs, we are actually ripping back the sheath-like material. And as you can see, this right here actually seems a little bit discolored. It's not a healthy green, but it does appear like it is growing, right? But take a closer look. Look at that stem. Do you see that rotting coming in there as well? So don't be fooled by this. If it looks like something could be going on, go with your gut feeling, guys. We're not using this one either. So I'm simply peeling back each and every one of these bulbs. And this right here doesn't look so well either. You see that discoloration? Yep, another lost cause. Okay, we're going to peel this one back. Okay. And this one appears to be somewhat healthy. I'm not noticing any browning in the stem at all. Not at all. So this one looks to be savable. And yes, I am rinsing out my hand every time I peel back one of these up. This one right here doesn't look so hot either. Nope, I wouldn't try this one. And it's actually very flimsy right here. This one appears to be healthy stems as well. So this one looks like it could be okay. Okay, and this one, let's see. This appears to be healthy as well. Green on the stem. Although this right here, let's take a look. Yep, look at that. You see that black area right there? Look. Now this is the clean area, but it's too close. Too close for comfort. We're not saving this one either. So out of all of those, folks, we only have 4 that appear to be savable. All of the stems are green. We're not noticing any discolorations, any red flags. So we're going to attempt to save only these 4. And now that we've closely inspected every portion of these bulbs right here, and we've determined that these may be savable, we're going to go ahead and soak them in that Physan 20 to disinfect them even further. And these bulbs right here will actually go into their separate containers. And for our other group, we're just going to go ahead and give them one last soak in that Physan right there before we go ahead and pot it up. And I did take a closer look at each one of these as well, because I want to make sure that these ones really have a great chance of surviving. And the way that I mix the media, I actually used about 75% of that lithophyte media and also about 25% of the sphagnum moss. So we're going to go ahead and fill the bottom of the container with a very thin layer of the mixed media. And now we're simply going to place each segment in arrangement of how we want them to sit in the container. And then afterwards, once we get everything in here, we're going to backfill the container with the rest of the media. And because the leaves are long and a bit grassy, you're going to have to actually intertwine or get the leaves through the actual caging of this container. But I guarantee it'll be quite an interesting display. And now we have it basically the way we want it. And now it's just a matter of backfilling and making sure that the container is filled with the media. And that's it, folks. And yeah, it may get a little bit messy, but hey, that's orchid life, right, folks? And now, folks, all there is left to do is to simply close the cage. And there you have it. And this right here, folks, is our final product and our main bulk of our propagation, our repotting, and also our rescue project on this Maxillaria Tenuifolia. And I do have to say, I think it makes quite a beautiful display within the bird cage, and also so adorable too, with that little birdie right in the center. Definitely a very unique and beautiful display. Who would have ever thought that being caged up could be so beautiful? And with this individual stem cutting propagation that we did here on this division portion, we went ahead and placed it in a mesh basket with the same type of media, and that is in hopes that we can kind of keep this as dry as possible, yet still get some moisture in there, because again, this was a rotting issue that was going on with these divisions. So we're definitely trying to give it the best start that we know how to, and that's why I selected to go ahead and repot it in this manner. And with these two attempts to rescue, to repot, and also to propagate, what we're also going to do with these two as well is we are going to be feeding them with aloe vera water. And I don't know if you guys know, but aloe vera is a natural form of rooting hormone. So it's just going to give it that added bonus and added push to recover. And of course, we're also going to keep our fingers crossed as well. And there you have it, folks. That is an absolute rescue, propagation, and also repot wrap on this Maxillaria Tenuifolia. And as I stated to you, please keep your fingers crossed and send some healing wishes to this Maxillaria. We are in great hopes that she will bounce back, recover, and recoup, and she will be back to her glorious self once again, but this time in an even more spectacular display. And I do hope you like this video, and I absolutely hope that you learned something new from it. If you like this video, please be sure to like, share, and also subscribe, and be sure to turn that notification button on so you guys will know exactly when I do post a new video. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to share my love, my passion, and also my orchids with you. Oh, and don't forget to join me on Instagram at My Orchid Adventures. And do you guys see what I'm seeing? That is a cat in a cage. Who would have guessed that? And with that being said, thank you so much. And as you guys already know, I do truly love and appreciate each and every one of you guys all. And I will see you guys later. And I'll also grow with you guys later as well. Bye-bye for now. Mwah.